Hi, I'm Teresa Ruth Howard from MyBodyMyImage.com, and I'd like to sound off on E! Entertainment's Guilian Rancic and the firestorm she started on the fashion police when she referred to Disney star Zendaya's hair on the red carpet at the Oscars, which she was wearing in locks, as looking like she smelled like patchouli or weed. Zendaya and a lot of other people in the African American community and other communities took offense to this, and rightfully so. I don't know whether Juliana was associating locks and the smell of weed with the idea of Rastafarianism, which, Rastafarians, as a part of their belief, smoke marijuana. I don't know if it came from that, or whether it's the idea of locks and weed and a criminal element, that sort of thing. Well, either way, it doesn't sit right and it's distasteful. Wrong. Especially in America, where you see everybody from white, black, Puerto Rican, Asian wearing their hair in locks. And so we have to really look at what that is. Some people might say that Zendaya and whoever else was offended by the comment might be being too sensitive or overreacting. It was only a joke. This may be true, and I don't really believe that Guilian Rancic is a racist, but I think that what came out of her mouth was a stereotype that is based in racism, and therein lies the problem. And as a black person, I will say, and I think that some of my black people might agree with me, that this sensitivity that you speak of comes from a very real place. Racism and bigotry in this country is not a phantom. It is alive and kicking, and it's real. And I think that small comments like this only illustrate how ignorant a lot of people are to the severity and the seriousness of what's going on in this country, to a great number of its citizens. So we're talking about hair, and so you might say, oh, what's the big deal? It's just a hairstyle. I think what the African American community is responding to is not the actual comment about the hair, but the subtext of the comment. And that is steeped in historical racism. We're at the tail end of Black History Month, so let's go to school. Historically, in slavery, Black women were made to cover their heads because their white slave owners thought that their hair looked dirty or ugly and was unsightly, and they didn't want to see it. And so that shame of having to cover your hair, we carry with us historically. And so when you say something about our hair, it strikes us in a, let's just say, it's emotional DNA. And so we are still, as African American women, healing that wound. We are trying to find the beauty within ourselves, within our hair that comes out of our scalps the way it is. And when we try to do that, when we find these beautiful and elegant styles that represent not only our culture, but our natural beauty, when you attack that or deride that, that's a painful thing for us. The irony is that in her response to Juliana's comments, Zendaya so eloquently and in such a mature and beautiful way expressed not only her hurt, but she explained why she chose to wear locks to that event. A number of her family members wear locks. She finds them beautiful as they are. And she decided that she wanted to feature them in her red carpet look. So the idea that she was, in her way, trying to show little brown girls that your hair is beautiful just the way it is, that you can wear it in locks, you can be elegant and sophisticated, and have it be turned around to once again be shamed, is a travesty. We're living in a society today where the results of the baby doll test of 1940, just in case you don't know, was a test that was administered by Kenneth Bancroft Clark and Mamie Phipps Clark. In the 1940s, they took a black baby doll and a white baby doll, sat children in front of it, and asked them which one was nice, which one beautiful, which one was bad, which one was evil, and the children had to choose baby dolls. Oftentimes, the negative adjectives were associated with the black baby doll, while the positive ones were associated with the white baby doll. And then the last question they asked was, and it still gets me, was which one looks like you? And the black children often picked the white child associated with the good things. Some of them couldn't choose because they knew that the black baby doll looked like them physically, but that contradictory idea of all the negative attributes are associated with that baby doll, it didn't quite jive. But this is the scientific information that changed the outcome of Brown versus the Board of Education. We are living in a society today where those results haven't much changed. Now, it has gotten better because we've made strides. Yes, we do see more African Americans in television and movies. Not at the Oscars. We do see more African Americans in advertising. But the concept that we are so underrepresented, it says to us that we, one, don't belong, that two, in terms of that advertising, we are not beautiful, we are not enough. And to me, it's not to be taken lightly. It's an opportunity to educate some people, black, white, brown, yellow, red, and help them understand that this is a very serious, deeply rooted issue that goes to the heart of a pain of a people. So let me go back to Zendaya's response. I am going to post it on the blog so you can read it in its entirety, but I'll just sort of like recap it here. She basically, like I said that she wore the locks because members of her family have them, and she wanted to show that they were beautiful, which they are, and they were on her. They were actually, she looks exquisite. But she also listed a number of African Americans in various fields who wear locks, and I thought that that was really important. It was very educational for not just Juliana, but anybody reading that. I was all afire the day that it started, and I could not wait to watch. I watched Wendy at 10 and The View at 11, and I was a little let down by Wendy's response to it, but you know, she's Wendy, so she said her thing. But I really couldn't wait for Whoopi Goldberg's response on The View, and it was very, very tempered. She gave Juliana the side eye and said, you know, some people with locks. So, you know, I was like, okay, that's what you could do. And then some African American celebrities started to chime in, including the director of Selma and Kerry Washington, and they were all very temperate as well. But I'm going to tell you what happened, really, because I'm not affiliated with anybody as of yet. So I'm going to tell you that everybody heard that comment. These women heard that comment, and they were like, what the? Oh, no, she did. What? She's crazy. And so we all went off. Like, this is what black people do. We can't always tell you outright how we're actually feeling, and we have to temper it and we have to craft it so that we don't look like the stereotypical angry black woman, when we have every right to be angry, but we don't get that. We don't get that luxury of going off on someone for fear that we might actually show up as that thing that we are stereotyped as. See, now that's the trip thing too. That's not quite right, but that's a reality living in America. Now, you white folks out there may not know that, but black people, even though we seem like at times we go off, we're very restrained. Very restrained. We may sit around our kitchen tables and our living room tables and on the cell phone like this with each other, talking about how effed up things are, but we won't come at you that way. And be grateful, because it's not pretty. But I am certain that there were choice words for Juliana. Now, after the initial tweet of, I was referring to Bohemian Chic, delivered as an apology on Twitter by Rancic to Zendaya, Kelly Osbourne weighed in saying that she was really, really upset. She was really upset because somebody thought that she was the person that said, or weed, and she didn't. It was actually Juliana who said it herself, added it in. But there was no, they were up on a still graphic, and so there was no footage of them to prove it. But it wasn't Kelly. But when she was catching hell for for that supposed comment she made, she got on this, I'm giving you 24 hours or I'm leaving fashion police. Well, bye. But here's the thing. My thing is, if that's your friend, if that was your friend, really, and if you were really offended, Kelly, you should have opened your mouth then. You laughed along with those people and you participated. And that's what's not cool. So I think if you're going to get some hate on that because we don't buy it. We don't buy it. We think that because you started to catch some heat, because people thought that you added the weed in, that's when you decided that you wanted to jump big and bad and stand up for somebody's rights. But if that's how you feel, then you should say that then. That's how I feel. Later yesterday evening, Guilian Rancic issued one of those pre-taped apologies to Zendaya and to everybody that she offended. And here's the thing. I watched it a couple times. The first time I watched it, here's my first reaction. Paula Deen. All I could see was a whole bunch of white people sitting around a table thinking about how are we going to get ahead of this? How are we going to spin this? How are we going to take care of this? Oh, you have to issue an apology. Let's shoot it. Not an authentic, oh my God, I really did something wrong. This is bad, and let me make it right. Now, look, that's my feeling. It's a fact that you feel, but feelings aren't facts. Shushu making her appearance. But I just didn't buy it. It felt to me, well, not as bad, but it felt to me like that Paula Deen sort of apology. I am so sorry. I know black people. No, I feel like this sort of contrived way of getting people off of your back is become too common, and you're going to have to get really creative in order for people to feel that that is an authentic apology. Now, as I said, I think I posted on a couple places, look, it's not for me to accept Giuliana's apology. I can feel any way I want to about Giuliana, and trust, I do. But it's really for Zendaya to basically say, I accept your apology, and basically call off her dogs, because that's the person that was really offended, and it was directed at her. So I will stand by whatever Zendaya says in terms of whether she wants to accept the apology or how she feels about the apology. In closing, I'd like to just say that I find this whole period of time around this Oscars to be very, very interesting. First, we have like the whiteout, where there are not any African-American people, individuals honored with nominations in a year where there were some performances that were quite deserving, and through the award season had actually built up the momentum where you could see that as a possibility. I mean, some years it just doesn't happen, but this year there were possibilities. And the kind of buzz that was around that, like people acknowledged, wow, that's a whiteout, both white and black. Everybody was kind of like, that's a little jacked up. And then we have the Giuliana comment, and then we have on complex.com, I found a news article where a news person in Ohio, I believe it was, yes, Christy Capel, was referring to, wait for it, was referring to Lady Gaga's performance of the sound of the medley of The Sound of Music. And she said, wait, let me read it to you because it's just not, she said, she didn't realize that she was that talented and that she had that type of voice with all the jigaboo music that she does. With all the jigaboo music that she does. Okay, now and then she, of course, backtracked. She said this live on the air. People are out of pocket. Of course, she was on Fox, so there you go. But then she claimed that she didn't know what jigaboo meant. So if you don't know what jigaboo meant, then why are you using it as an adjective to describe music? That's ridiculous. There are a lot more adjectives. You could have said that pop or that artsy or whatever you wanted, but you chose jigaboo. So do you see are you starting to see where some of this sensitivity comes from? Because it harkens back. Because jigaboo goes way back there, right? So this is something that has always been a dialogue within the African community. It fires up when black men get killed by police when they are unarmed, or when black men are stopped and frisked without cause, and that is legal, that is okay. When Guilian Rancic can say something out of her mouth that is clearly offensive, when a newscaster on live television can drop a derogatory slur, a racist slur, and it's just what it is. And we are supposed to just let that go away. I just want to say one thing, and this is the analogy that I go to check myself in a way, to say whether or not I'm being hypersensitive because of my, African Americanness in America. I just want to know if all the things that I just stated were happening to Jewish people in this country or anywhere in the world, would we even question what was right or wrong? Would we even question it? Not just the Jewish community would be up in arms demanding apologies and resignations and something to be done and legislation, but the world would stand up for them, as it should be. Why is it that when things like this happen to African Americans, there's always a debate? I think it's because we as a people are not valued on the same level as other people. And that's our biggest problem. There should be no debate. And that's my 2 cents on the matter. You can keep the change. I'm Teresa Ruth Howard with MyBodyMyImage.com.